And our first speaker is Sasha Hlozek. She's an Assistant Director of International Program at Charles University. And she will talk about how to effectively communicate with a diverse audience, which is a really interesting topic. Sasha, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. And hello, Estonia. Thank you for the introduction. While I wish that we could be there in person, of course, I'm very thankful to be participating in this conference, and I hope that you find this presentation interesting. So as it was mentioned, I'm going to be speaking about effectively communicating with a diverse audience in international higher education. I'd first like to highlight a few reasons why international students come to study in Prague. First of all, it's a relatively inexpensive city for being a European capital. From the cost of living to also the cost of going out and enjoying culture is quite affordable for students. It's a nice blend between Eastern and Western Europe. We're actually considered Central Europe. Prague is home to many, many cultural and social events, everything from opera and theater to live music. So it's a great place for students to be. As I mentioned, we are located in the center of Europe, which means that it's very easy for students to travel to the many other countries that they'd like to see while they're studying abroad. And I'd just like to highlight a difference between Erasmus and ETSES, which is our program, which I'll be speaking about a bit more. But Erasmus, we also have at Charles University, and that's the students from within the EU and around Europe who come to study with us. That's a non-paid program, whereas ETSES, our program, is a commercial paid program, mostly for American and Canadian. We also have some Asian students in the summer, and it's a commercial program within Charles University. For those of you who aren't familiar with Charles University, we are the oldest and most prestigious university in Central Europe, founded in 1348 by King Charles IV. We are a public university with about 50,000 students, around 1,000 international students. We are based at the Faculty of Arts, which is liberal arts, not fine arts or visual arts. And we are one of the 4 original faculties at Charles University, along with law, medicine, and theology. And we're currently the largest faculty at the university. So our program is called East and Central European Studies, ETSES for short. It was founded in 1992, and it's a completely English taught program at Charles University for non-degree seeking students, which means that they're pursuing their degree at a home university in the US or Canada. They won't be getting a bachelor's or graduate degree from Charles University. We offer courses in the humanities primarily, such as history, literature, politics, Czech language, sociology, as well as some film and photography courses. We run semester, which means fall and spring, and also summer and customized sessions. There's 2 summer sessions students can come for between 3 and 7 weeks. And we also have customized sessions, which are usually led by faculty from a university in the US or Canada, and they come for anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. And our whole program is facilitated by the International Relations Office at the Faculty of Arts, Charles University. So I'd just like to highlight some of the student services that we offer during the program. This also highlights how much we are in touch with our students, that we're communicating with them all the time. Whereas a program like Erasmus, they're communicating a lot in the beginning, but once they get on site, they're a little bit more offhand. So we offer 24-hour emergency support, which means that we have an emergency mobile phone that rotates throughout our team. Everyone has it for about a week, and students can reach us at any time of the day, whether they have a medical emergency or maybe they're traveling and they lost their passport, so they are not sure what to do. They can contact us for support. So we're constantly communicating with our students. We also offer pre-departure orientation while they're still home in the US. That includes visa advising when necessary. When they come in the summer, that's not part of it, but we walk them through the actual process of the student visa application. We have on-site orientation, which is 1 week during summer and January term, and 3 weeks during the semester. That includes 2 weeks of Czech intensive language that they take. We offer on-site housing assistance. We have a housing and cultural coordinator who lives with our students at the dorm where they all live together. She's communicating with them every day when they see each other at breakfast. And we also offer medical assistance in addition to the emergencies. If a student needs help communicating with a doctor or just making an appointment, we can assist them with that. Some of the extracurricular activities that we offer are 2-day trips during orientation so that we really show the students something about the Czech Republic and its history, give them a taste of what they can see while they're studying abroad. We offer optional trips and activities throughout the semester. This includes things like cafe and gallery excursions, which are led by our cultural and housing coordinator. She takes them to an exhibit or a museum and they go and discuss it afterwards, what they've seen and how they interpret it. The Charles University International Club is quite active. They offer trips, events, and even a Czech buddy program to our students, which is quite popular. We offer film screenings of important culturally relevant Czech films, and also lectures with guest speakers throughout the semester. So to go over our communication audiences, we are constantly communicating with a number of different parties throughout the entire semester and in between semesters. These include our partner universities. These are a handful of US and Canadian universities with whom we work very closely. They send us students every semester or session. Third-party providers, which these are the more commercialized study abroad operations that they get students from all different universities and then funnel them into our program. So they're quite important to us. Our students, of course, that come from a variety of different backgrounds. We have about 30 professors that we work with. They are both Czech and international. Then we also have an academic board, which is a separate set of professors at Charles University who review and approve all of our courses prior to the semester or the academic year, excuse me. And then we have our service provider partners, which of course we're organizing trips and events during orientation and also farewell parties and other optional activities throughout the semester. So we're always communicating with people, whether it be in Prague or outside within Europe as well. To give you an idea of our communication timeline, our communication with students and partners begins months before they arrive in Prague. As I mentioned, we have quite intensive and thorough pre-departure advising. We create a webinar, which we share with them. We're always available for one-on-one questions. We literally walk them step by step through the forms they need to fill out for the visa application process. And at that time, our communication is really proactive and reactive. We're of course sharing important deadlines and asking them for materials we need, but also they have many, many questions and we're getting them excited about being in Prague. So it's a mix of proactive and reactive communication. Then once they come on site, it shifts to a slightly more reactive, as of course we are sharing information with them still, but we're also fielding their questions and any issues that they have while they're with us. And then post-semester, we like to continue the communication as well. We have a very good internship program with our student alumni. We've already had several students participate with us. And also a lot of them follow us on Instagram. We've really ramped that up over the past year or so. And we hope that they continue once they leave us and they're back in the US so they can see what's happening with the program and also continue to learn about Czech history and culture. So some of the differences to consider when you're communicating with such diverse audiences and groups of people are communication style. We have to remember that everyone's culture and experiences and background is the lens through which they see the world. So you have to keep this in mind when you're dealing with different backgrounds and trying to understand where they're coming from. This also applies to a nonverbal communication. For example, in some cultures, raised voices can signify excitement about something, whereas in another culture or country, that may be a sign of aggression. So you really have to kind of keep all these things in mind. Another thing to consider is attitudes towards conflict. That really depends whether someone is willing to get their issues out in the open, say, let's talk about it, deal with it now, or whether they prefer to do so much more quietly, maybe even in writing. That varies across culture and country. Another thing is approaches to completing tasks, which this has to do with access to resources and rewards that are associated with task completion. For example, if there's a group project, some cultures and countries would much rather develop the relationships within the group and then start to work on the project, whereas other cultures will want to get right to work at the task at hand and then develop the relationships within the group along the way. There are also different decision-making styles. For example, in the US, many times decisions are delegated, whereas in other European and Latin American countries, there's a very strong value placed on making decisions oneself. There's also a difference between deciding something by majority rule or coming to a consensus. And lastly, we have to consider attitudes towards disclosure and privacy, which of course with the student body is very important as well. Also that they're coming from America that has different privacy rules compared to the European ones. And we all know, I think, that some cultures, people are very open about their emotions, their feelings, even their personal information, whereas in other cultures that's kept closer to the chest and it's not shared as much. So it's just important to not approach a group with one communication style in mind. You have to take them all into consideration. And I'd just like to speak a little bit about diversity and inclusion. More and more we realize and know that without inclusion, diversity can sometimes backfire. That's why I like this quote here that diversity is being invited to the party and inclusion is being asked to dance. Because it doesn't really matter if you have a very diverse group, if they're not being included, they will maybe segregate to their own little corners, and then that's not really being effective. So we have to have everyone being involved, invited to participate. That's the only way to have effective diversity. And of course, in our program, we have students of various ethnic, racial, religious, and socioeconomic backgrounds. So to us, the inclusion part is very important to the diversity. So just to speak a little bit about diversity within our program, we are of course committed to supporting students who are ethnically and racially diverse, first-generation college attendees, high financial need, LGBTQ, religiously diverse, or those who have a disability, whether it's a learning disability or a physical disability. We know that inclusion and equity leads to student success and confidence, and therefore alumni success. Of course, our goal with this program is that the students not only use it for their personal growth, but also hopefully for their professional development and their professional growth later on in their career. And during our pre-departure orientation and orientation week, we do emphasize health and safety for a diverse group of students to make sure they all feel welcome and safe. And with the diversity, as I mentioned, comes inclusion. So here are just a few examples of the ways that we are trying to work on inclusion within the program. When we have religious diversity, we discuss things such as having, especially with Prague's history, it's important to us to have courses such as Jewish history. And all of our professors really work to include different perspectives from varying backgrounds into the material of their courses. We also are able to offer some accommodations for students at the dorm where they all stay together. For example, if someone needed a quiet space for prayer, or if they wanted to keep kosher, we could keep those students in a suite together. They could have access to the same kitchen facilities so that they're able to observe those parts of their religion. Socioeconomic diversity. Of course, we have students from huge US universities that are public, small private universities. They really come from all over the country, from many different backgrounds. So some have the budget to bounce around to European capitals every weekend, which we rather they stay, of course, in the Czech Republic, but we understand. So it's very important as a program to offer free and low cost activities that are really accessible to everyone so that even those who don't have that kind of budget are able to participate and enjoy the study abroad experience and the Czech Republic. Racial diversity, we always make sure in orientation and before the students even come to communicate to them that they have a safe space with us in our offices or even via email for discussion about any issues they may encounter while they're abroad, anything they want to talk about. We make sure that they know we are a resource for them. We're also working on more inclusive promotional materials. We had an African-American student as our intern, and we did some really nice photo shoots with her to use in social media and hopefully in our future marketing materials, because it's very important for minority students to see someone who looks like them. So they say, oh, I could be a study abroad student as well. And lastly, first generation students. Those, of course, are the ones who are the first in their family to attend university or college. We do find that we need to communicate with them even more and provide more detailed information during orientation. We do have a group of specific first generation students we work with in the summer sessions, and we find that they need to be a bit more informed about things like possible tourist traps or scams that they may encounter, just because they may not be as travel savvy. And also, if they were to incur a financial loss because of some scam or issue they dealt with, it could be more detrimental to them than someone who has more financial resources. So some of the key takeaways from what I've presented to you are to know the diversity of the audiences with which you're communicating. That's number one communications rule. Don't just blanket message things. You have to consider the things we mentioned, people's backgrounds, cultures, the way they interpret different phrases and nonverbal communication. That's why tailored messaging is the most effective, because then people feel that you're really speaking to them, you're taking into consideration their specific situation and background. And especially as we've learned during this COVID pandemic, clear and transparent communication is really key. We know that all of our partners and students and professors truly appreciated the direct and transparent communication that we provided, and that really makes things go more smoothly. So with that, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. I believe we're doing questions at the end, but I'm happy to answer anything that anyone would like to know. So thank you very much.